Carolina can use Republican-friendly congressional map, court says. This article is by Eduardo Medina and read by an automated voice. A panel of 3 federal judges in North Carolina on Wednesday allowed the state's newly redrawn congressional map to go into effect for the 2026 midterm elections, a victory for the Trump administration and Republican efforts to retain control of the U.S. House next year. The judges at the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of North Carolina unanimously sided with the state's Republican leaders, whose lawyers had argued that their motivations to draw a new map were partisan, not because of race or political retaliation as the plaintiffs had claimed. That distinction was important because the U.S. Supreme Court effectively blessed partisan gerrymandering in a 2019 ruling. The new North Carolina map is very likely to give Republicans an extra House seat. It was redrawn in October by the state's Republican-controlled legislature after Texas kicked off a redistricting effort over the summer at President Trump's behest to help Republicans. Since then, Ohio and Missouri have also passed new maps to help the party. California Democrats responded with a new map of their own, which voters approved this month. On Tuesday, Indiana Republicans reversed course and said they would vote on the new map, though support remained uncertain. It was not immediately clear if the plaintiffs in the North Carolina case, including the NAACP, would appeal Wednesday's ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court this month temporarily allowed Texas to use its newly redrawn map for next year's elections. In their 57-page ruling, the North Carolina judges, all of whom were appointed by Republican presidents, including 2 by Mr. Trump, wrote that the plaintiffs had not clearly proven that the legislature passed the new map with the intent to minimize or cancel out the voting potential of Black North Carolinians. Before this latest redistricting push, North Carolina's map had already been criticized for being among the most gerrymandered in the country. That had been made possible because of Republicans in the legislature, who have largely held on to power because of gerrymandered state district maps and a state Supreme Court dominated by conservatives that voted to affirm those maps. The old congressional map had tilted 10 out of North Carolina's 14 congressional districts toward the GOP. Now, the new map could give Republicans an extra seat in the 1st Congressional District, which previously included all 8 of the state's majority Black counties, but has now been redrawn to include more conservative-leaning counties. The district is currently held by Representative Don Davis, a Democrat. In the lawsuit that sought to block the new map, the plaintiffs had argued that the state legislature wiped North Carolina's historic Black Belt Congressional District off the map, silencing Black voters by denying them any reasonable opportunity of electing their candidate of choice to the U.S. House. Hillary Harris Klein, a lawyer representing the Southern Coalition for Social Justice, and other plaintiffs, said at a court hearing last week that the latest map from the legislature, its 5th in 6 years, had been designed to punish Black voters for how they voted in 2024. This is not redistricting as usual, Ms. Klein said in a statement after the hearing. It's a mid-decade no-pretext attempt to cancel Black voters' voices because those in power didn't like the results of the last election. But State Senator Ralph Hayes, a Republican who was in charge of drawing the districts and who was the only witness at the hearing last week, said that no racial data had been used to create the new map. We undertook the process to improve the partisan advantage for Republicans, he added. Phil Berger, the Republican leader of the state Senate, said in a statement that Wednesday's court decision thwarts the radical left's latest attempt to circumvent the will of the people. The timing of Mr. Berger's willingness to engage in redistricting has raised eyebrows in North Carolina. He is in a contentious and possibly close primary race for re-election against a popular sheriff, Sam Page. Mr. Berger has denied claims that the redistricting plans are part of a deal to secure Mr. Trump's endorsement.